Expectation is quite honestly the death of adventure. And I don't just mean travel adventure, I mean the adventure of life. Because the minute you decide how something is supposed to look, well, that's when it actually stops surprising you. And surprise is kind of where the fun's at. Full-time travel is not a holiday. It's definitely an adventure, but it's not a holiday. Now, the Instagram aesthetic is going to sell you something completely different. Endless blue oceans, long walks along secluded beaches, endless cultural experiences, blah, blah, blah. But the question is, does the reality actually meet the expectation? And without being too philosophical, to answer completely honestly, we kind of actually have to unpack the question itself. And to do that, we have to rewind a little bit. There's a peacock over here. I don't know if you can see it. There's like all these cute little water buffaloes, and there's a peacock over there. So like a lot of people that came to this lifestyle, we did so not because we were running away from something, but more like we were moving closer to something that felt more like us. It was kind of like being quietly pulled towards something. Maybe that's something we couldn't quite articulate at first, but it definitely felt like freedom. And looking back now, I can say it definitely felt like aliveness. That was what we were seeking. Now, this was absolutely not a sudden leap for us. This was something that happened over years, an evolutionary process. A series of small pivots and tiny recalibrations, and then little bit by little bit, we could feel a little braver in the decisions that we were making until we started to do things that felt maybe a little unhinged, a little like off the cuff and strange for others, but for us, it felt like a natural progression. Every time things stopped feeling pleasurable, we listened, and then we kind of pivoted a little bit. You see, every time life started to feel less pleasurable or not aligned with the kind of people that we are right now, then we changed it. It wasn't easy, and sometimes it felt really scary, but every time we made those decisions, it felt a little less scary until it felt bigger and bolder and more grounded to actually take those little pivots and into those big leaps. Little bit by little bit, it led us to being right here. When we finally made the decision about overhauling our lifestyle completely, it wasn't just about where we wanted to live. Location wasn't it. It was about how we wanted to live. What did we want our days to look like? How did we want to bring up our family right now? Not in 10 years' time, not when the kids were bigger, not when we were retired, in this moment, right now. And it wasn't about being irresponsible, it was actually the opposite. It was more about creating a future that looked joyous and pleasurable and about creating wealth. You see, we had all of our money tied up in one asset, our home. Like most people, that was what we were told we should do. Work towards paying off that mortgage, which gratefully we did through a series of renovations and flipping houses. Now that's great until it doesn't feel great anymore. So we did all the practical stuff. We sold the house, we sold the stuff. That all kind of felt easy. What was left was a few sentimental things that went into storage and some suitcases that were coming with us, obviously. Then we started to research and map things out and plan. Now this is where expectation slowly starts to creep in, and it's like a little ninja. You don't even know it's coming in. But in amongst doing the research and planning out how this new life was going to look, that's when you start to form an idea of how things are going to look. That's where I kind of got stuck. I love the philosophy of Bashar. If you've never heard of him, I'm going to leave a link in the description box so you can check out his work. But basically what he says is that the one key rule to life is to follow your highest excitement. Follow it with everything you have until you can't follow it any longer. But the key here is following that through without any expectation of the outcome or how the path should look. Now, we're all very human, so that's easier said than done. I've been following Bashar's work for a little while, and it's taken me this long to actually start to wrap my head around how that looks in the real world. But when you can, it's probably one of the best rules for life that you will ever follow. You see, without even knowing it, expectation is this sneaky set of guidelines, this imagined version of reality that's just kind of weaseled its way in without you even knowing it's there. It's telling you how things should look and how they should feel, and there's actually then no spaciousness for letting things unfold naturally. I'll give you a little example. When we first set out on this trip 7 months ago, I bought the camera, I bought the gear, and I had big expectations that I was going to record and document every part of this adventure and share it. And the thing was, I recorded everything, but it is all still sitting in the camera. It's never been seen, never to see the light of day. Maybe it will, maybe it won't. But some seasons just aren't for sharing, they're for being in it. And that's what I had to learn. So we're 7 months in now, with a little trip back to Australia in between to kind of ground and visit our family. So I kind of look at it as take 1 and take 2 of the adventure. When I look back on everything that we moved through in that first version of our travels, none of it was wrong or bad. It wasn't that we were doing anything in the wrong way, it was just that we were clinging too tightly to an unspoken set of rules that we thought we had to follow. And the thing is, that's not what travel's all about. Yes, you have to do a certain amount of research. Of course, there's planning involved. But there has to be room for things to unfold. There has to be room for uncertainty. And the humanness of that is really difficult to get your head around. But when you do, the magic that unfolds. So coming back into the second take of this adventure feels completely different. And it's not because we're wiser or that we've learnt more. Mind you though, there have been a few lessons that have unfolded that have definitely helped us from a practical standpoint. But we've let go of expectation. It still creeps in a little bit sometimes, but we have for the most part let go of how we think things are supposed to look or feel. And just allow it to be and to unfold. And some days are going to be great and some days are going to be tough. But that's life, no matter where you are or what version of life you're living. Okay, so to answer the question, does the expectation and the reality match up? If you can let go of expectation bit by bit, then I can assure you that your adventure, whether it be travel or life, it can be anything you want it to be. You just got to loosen the grip a little bit. If you have enjoyed this video, it's been a long time coming. I would love you to share some love in the comments below. Please share it with a friend that you might think would get something from this, and hopefully this is one of many. Follow along, see what adventures unfold. Thank you for watching. See you in the next one. This is the joys of trying to create content in the world.